Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So this week we're gonna learn about props. So we're at week 9. This one is a little bit more fun than the other ones. We're gonna be dealing with adding props, attaching it to the character and detaching it to a character and attaching it to different parts of the character. I'm also going to show you a little bit of the particle system and motion builder in case you need to add something in your previs. We'll just focus a little bit on particles, not that much. Most of you don't need it, so it's going to be, so it's only 30% for this assignment. The most important one is the props. A lot of you have props, so please focus on the props, particles, just so you know how to deal with it. So I'm gonna set up a small scene. I'm gonna be using the Ninja. By all means, use the same stuff I'm using. I don't mind, but if you have a prop in mind for your previous and you want to use it, you could, but it has to fit with the particles. So I'll leave it up to you. You can use the same as I have in the video. I'll download the Ninja. I'll make a character out of him. Okay. So go in downloads. I'm gonna call him Ninja. So okay, just a weird name. I'll go in my working folder on D. It's D for you, B for me, D for you. I'll put it here for now, and I'll open it up. Oops. We don't need any animation, it's okay. There's no animation yet. So normal character. I'll freeze the mesh so we don't keep selecting it. Mesh. And I'll characterize him. Character, just drag and drop. Right, so now we have our character Ninja. And we're ready to, let's save him first. I'll save it inside my character folder. Right, it's on the characters Ninja. So now what I like to do with him, I have something in mind. I'm gonna give him a sword, a katana, and he'll be kind of slicing a watermelon. So I need some mocap for this. So I'll look in the, I want him to walk stop with the sword on his back and then pick it up and slash, okay? So just a simple walk stop. Could be any one of these. Stop walking. There we go. I'll download this. The reason I chose this is I want the katana to be following on his back. And then at some point, you will draw the sword, draw sword, which should be, let's see what that looks like. I think there's a full one from IRL, which is this. Yeah. Some reason they split it. So we can go like this. And then I think sword 1, sword 2. Okay. So we'll need 2. And then we need a slash. So I'll download this one first. Without scan. We don't need that. And then this one. And then the slash, right? So slash, we'll need something with two-handed. Two-handed, let's see. That could work, but I think it's overkill. Let's see this one. This one might work. It's a combo. That's good to work. Sure, that could work. Could keep the watermelon down low. It's fine. Okay, so we'll build that sequence. I'm gonna go back in my downloads. I'm not sure if the stop walk will give us problems. Let's see, because I downloaded with the skin. You know what? Let's just re-download it. I don't want Okay, so we'll grab these. We'll put them in the downloads from XAML animations. It's fine, we'll put them here. If you want to specify for which assignment, it's better to be organized. Right, for week 9, yeah. And then we can start building our small sequence, okay? So I'll insert, well, first let's save the scene because we don't want to keep working with the same character folder. Put it in here, week 9. Props. Particles. Let's build the scene super quick. So now we can drag and drop these animations. So stop walking first. Okay. And then sword 1, which is he's drawing the sword. Right, he's snapping back. We'll fix that in a bit. And then sort 2, and then the slash. All right, so we can put these back to back. The poses are pretty similar, so you don't have to do a lot of matching. You just need to select the hips, and then select the clip that you want to match, because right now he moves back. Right, so we can actually match the walk to match the idle, the draw. So to next clip, right? If you select the hips in the viewport, and it's already selected in the list, so you don't have to select it. So I'll be matching to next clip. We'll do reverse. We used to match previous, so I'll match to next at the start of the next clip, so at this clip. Translation, rotation, don't need rotation, so we'll just match the position. So right now he moved back, and he's transitioning to the... So we can match this one now as well to previous. So you want to match to this clip. Same thing with this one. So now there should be no pop, right? See? It moves a little because the pose is a little bit different, but we can easily fix that. See? Everything flows now. So to fix that pose issue, we'll just match the pose of this to the settle animation. Right? So we can take this. Whoops. We can take the corner and just match it. Let's see how that looks. So we have about 184 frames. Okay, good. So we'll leave it at that, and then we can bake to skeleton, and then bake to control rig. There's no control rig, so we're gonna need to choose create it. And we'll double check if everything is fine without story mode. It's all good. Play it again. Good. Okay, so now we're ready to add the props. So if you go on Sketchfab, type in katana. There's many katanas. You can choose this one by this person, this modeler. Or if you find another FBX, it's fine too. Because if you search katana, you will get a lot of these names. So you can choose this one. FBX is always better. So I just hope that there's going to be textures with it. Sometimes the OBJ doesn't come with textures, so we'll need to check if the textures are okay. If not, we can probably fix it in the okay. Katana is ready. We can go in downloads, and I'm gonna create a folder called props. I'll unzip that, unzip extract to katana folder. Okay, good. Unzip it again. Wow, there's a lot. Okay, so let's see what that, if we try to merge that, merge, no animation. Of course, it's huge, and it's in multiple pieces. So let's see. So it doesn't have textures. So let's see if we can solve this problem by, like we did with the, if you guys remember, with the environment, we fixed it by just loading the texture files. So this is the Ninja. I believe this is the Ninja 2. And these are all the Ninjas. So is this one the Katana? Okay, so browse. We just need, we're in the wrong folder. So if we go in downloads, props, Katana, I think it's better to go in here. So Katana, it just says Katana. So let's just go base color PNG or DGA. Let's go PNG, try PNG. Okay, good. We're in business. Thank God it's only one texture, so we don't have to worry about the rest. Okay, so right now it's all in pieces. It's totally fine. So what you do to be able to just group them all in one, you go in Elements, and we're going to create a null. Either a null or a marker, but it's okay. We'll choose a null for now. You don't see the null because we're in models only. So if you go in X-ray, you will see the null right here. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Try not to scale it. Please don't scale it. Just make it bigger by these, the size of the null. So if you select the null, you go in Properties. Just make this bigger, like 300. So at least you see it in the viewport. Okay. What do? We have a couple of options here. We can select all the pieces. Oh no, let's wait. Let's position the let's position the null so that it's correctly in his hand, because we're going to use the null to animate the sword, right? I'll make this a little bit bigger. So let's go like 99. You'll understand why, because we're going to need to scale it down after. Okay, so the pivot of the handle is pretty centered, like it's good. So I'm going to take the null and align it to the handle. Okay, so how do we do this? We hold down Alt, left drag to the handle, and then go align, translation, rotation. So now it's centered with the handle. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Let me see a little bit more. So it's a little bit bigger than the handle. Okay, so you can like select it like this. Okay, so now we select all the katana pieces, and then we are gonna take those pieces and make them children of the null. Why? Because we don't want to animate the pieces all separately. We just want one null that follows one, when all the pieces to follow the null, so we can animate just the null. Okay, so think of it that The null is the parent of all the pieces, and we're just animating the null. Okay, so we select all the pieces. Again, we hold down Alt. For those of you using Maya, use X. Hold down X. So again, left drag to the null until it lights up. And then you go parent. Okay. So now what happens is the null is controlling all the pieces. See, it's as simple as that. So if you look at your scene, I would name this null katana, because we're going to create another null for the watermelon. So now you can move it, rotate it, keyframe it, you can do scale it. All right, now we can scale this thing to proper size. You can still make this bigger if you want. And you can still scale it at the same time. So I'm going to put it in his hand just temporarily to get the right scale. Seems about right. Maybe it's a little bit big. Yeah, I'll scale it down a bit more. That seems about right. Okay, so now now we can attach it to his back, right? Because he's gonna walk and then slice. Okay, so a simple attach is all you need to do is take the sword. It's the same way we made the sword pieces, the katana pieces, child to the null. We're gonna now align the null. You don't need to align it, you just need to parent it to one of the control bones on the character. Okay. So I'm gonna rotate it to be aligned on his back, right? Something like this. So now that it's in the good position, and we take the null and we hold down X, or Alt, sorry, if you're using the Motion Builder shortcuts, and we align it to the spine. We align it to the spine because we want it to follow the spine when you rotate the spine up and down. Okay. So you hold down, you drag and drop to the spine controller, and you go parent. Okay, so that's a simple parent-child constraint. See now, it's following the spine. So now you're saying, how do I attach it to the hand once he draws it? So if you're dealing with simple props like this, let's say you have a hat, or you have the character has a prop in his hand and it stays in his hand, use this method. But if you want to attach it to different body parts, like this example, you'll need to use something else. Okay, so I'm gonna unparent what I just did. So if I go in schematic view, or I think if I go in in the navigator. Let's go schematic view, it's better. Schematic. And with the null selected, if I press F, I will go to the null, and you'll see it's already parented to one of the bones. Okay, so simply what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on it and go unparent, confirm. So now it's back to what it was. It's not following the spine anymore. So the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to show you right now how to align, there's something called multi-ref constraint. And what this will allow you, it will allow you to have multiple parents for the same object. Because right now, when we did the simple constraint or parent, it will always follow the same parent. But with if you go on Asset Browser, Constraints, and Multi-Ref, and you drag and drop this, at first, it looks like a normal rigid body. It means the child, what object is following, and the parent object is what is it following, basically. At first, it looks like a simple child parent, but if you drag and drop, again, hold Alt and go in here. By the way, if you lose this tab, it's right here in the navigator. I'll minimize this. If you go on constraint, you will see all the constraints in your scene. Okay, so this is the multi-ref that we just created. So I added the child, which is the null, and I'm gonna add the spine to the parent. And as soon as I add the spine, it creates another parent. See? So now I can add the right hand effector, which is this one. Okay. Sorry, I might crash. My computer is super slow today. So we added the child and the two parents, the chest to make him to follow during the walk, and the right hand. So how do we if you want to say attach and detach with these multiple parents? Okay. So now if you select the null, first we're going to turn on the controller or the constraint so we can activate it. And still, if we scrub, nothing happens. Why? Because we haven't told the null which parent it should move to. Okay. So if you go in here, key control, you will see with the null selected, you will see something like a drop-down list here called ref. So if you drop this down, you will see the chest and the right hand. Okay, so it has actually three parents. It has the null parent for itself, like you can actually make the null its own parent, so you can animate it in world space, and you can make it follow the chest, or you can make it follow the right hand. Okay, so what are we going to do? From the beginning, we wanted to follow the chest. So as soon as you select one parent in the dropdown, it keys it. See here? It creates a key on the timeline. So now it's going to follow the spine up until the point where it grabs. Okay? So when it grabs, you want it to follow the right hand. So what do? We switch to the right hand, the right wrist. Now see, it created another key. So now what happens is it's following the right hand. At this stage, you can animate the offset to make it properly in his hand. So what do you do in here? You keyframe on body part. We're still having the null selected, right? So in here you can cheat, right? So you can key here and then go in this, on this frame, which is attached to the right hand, and move up. If I remember, this should work. We can either do this or keyframe, or maybe we can change the hand. Okay. So we can slide it in his hand so that it's properly located. And now if we key it, let's see what happens. Yeah, it works. So we can still position it in his hand properly. Kind of slide it in his hand. Okay. It's actually the other way around when he wants ready to slice. So what we can do, we could just add a small rotation. Let's see if the rotation is going to work. So can rotate it 180 degrees. Or we could have fixed the rotation in the beginning too. Actually, let's do that. It might be better because you're going to see it twist. So while it's on his back still, right? It's following the chest. We can just take this and rotate it 180 degrees. Okay, so now it might flip back, so we can just delete our rotation keys that were created in the hand. Okay. So if you go on the F curve and rotation, you could just delete those keys, and it's going to keep the rotation coming from oh, did I delete more than I should have? Oh, there's supposed to be a key here. Okay, it's weird. It's still facing the other way, so maybe I didn't forget to key it. Okay. All right, it's okay. Let's move on. We can figure that out. I think maybe it's better to do it on the first frame with the key of the attachment. Let's try that. Delete these keys. No. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Doesn't matter. The rotation doesn't matter. So try to figure out the rotation early on. Let's move on. So so now we have. Oh, okay. I think I know what happened. So we'll need to copy this key all the way here. No, it's still doing something weird. Okay, it's fine. Let's move on. So we have the sword. It's in his hand properly, and he's slicing. So we're gonna add the watermelon. Okay, so again, if you go on Sketchfab, you can download anything that has a FBX. So I'll download this one. And then go in props, open that up. It's probably another zip file. No, that's good. I just want to make sure that I'm saving with embed media. Okay, good. I don't want to lose anything that I'm merging. So I think we have the textures in here. Yeah. Okay, so if they don't show up, we can assign it to this. So merge, no animation. So this message is probably because the FBX was saved with an older version of Maya or Motion Builder, which is totally fine. Once you save your scene, it will be okay. So I believe it might be this one, or base color. Watermelon. You can go up, watermelon, textures, diffuse. Sure, why not? Doesn't look like it showed up. Why? Okay. So if it doesn't show up, just press 4. Oh. Sorry, my keyboard shortcut thing is went to sleep. So if it doesn't show up, it's still gray. Press 4 on your keyboard to go textures, or 3 and then 4. Play with 4 and 5 to see it properly. Okay, so we have the watermelon. Let's see if we keep it on the ground, will he reach it? So let's say, yeah, sure, that's okay. So again, he's not reaching perfectly to it, but we can work with this for now, and I'll show you how to fix that later in polish using layers. So the watermelon is huge. You can scale it because it's a single piece. You can scale it down. It's no problem. Or if you want, if it's a giant size watermelon, you can keep the same size if you want. And we'll put it on a small table. It's too huge. Okay. If you, I really prefer you do the same setup we did with the katana, because if you, for example, you want to animate this watermelon flying, I highly recommend don't animate the mesh itself. It's basically you need to create what we created with the katana, right? The null. So we can make this align, same thing. Align, translation, rotation. And then take the mesh and make it parent of the null. So now you can animate. This is the proper way to animate props. Don't never animate the mesh, because if something goes wrong with the mesh, you might lose all the keyframes. For this exercise, I won't be animating. I might just take when it's sliced, take the watermelon and hide it underneath, so I can just animate the displacement of it. Okay, so this is the simplest prop you can do. So I'm just gonna add a small box. Let's see how we're doing on time. Should be okay to talk about, yeah, talk about the particles. So I showed you how to set up a small, simple prop. I showed you how to use the multi-ref. Now we can talk about particles. Okay, so I'll set up a small plane first. I'll zero this out. If we right click and zero translation rotation, and then we scale it. And then I'm going to add a small box to put the watermelon on it. So I'll align it to the null. Just going to align translation. Okay, you can scale the box a little bit. Put it on the floor. And then, so you don't animate the watermelon by mistake. Watermelon mesh. See, now you don't select it by mistake. You can take the watermelon and put it in here. If you still think it's a little bit big, it's fine for now. It's okay. Okay, good. Let's save the scene and talk about particles. So particles, it's actually in Motion Builder, it's a shader. So if you go in shaders in Navigator, default shader, if you right click and go insert particle, you will get a bunch of options. So name this particle shader watermelon, just in case you have in your previous later you have more than one particle shader. And right now this particle shader is not assigned to anything. Okay, so we'll need first to assign it to the watermelon because we want it to explode on the cut, right? So how do you do this? You simply have to drag and drop. Oh, because the mesh is frozen, we cannot select the watermelon. So make sure you, if you created a group, excuse me, make sure you have the pick on, okay? So now let's try to drag and drop again. Go, so many options, forgot which one. Okay, let's try replace by type. So that worked. So by default, it has already an emitter, and it's generating from each vertex. Look at the here, emit from, see? It's generating from each vertex. So it's a little bit overkill from each vertex of the watermelon. So you can change that to scale volume. It's supposed to update. Wow, they change it. Okay. Unless the watermelon. Okay, so this is the fun part. So as you can see, there's I'm just gonna test something. Give me 1 second. So if we have another cube and we drag and drop this, and okay, so there must be something wrong with the vertices. because it's not supposed to keep generating. It looks like it keeps generating from the vertices, which is weird. Okay, let's try to continue. What? We'll try to continue with this prop, but we might hit some problems. Okay, it's gonna be fun anyway. We'll both learn from it. So the particle shader has a lot of settings, as you can see. Global controls, we won't use that much. We'll stay away from it. The color is in here, particle shading. So if you change, let's say, the display mode from additive to matte, it will take, oh, I think I know why. It's actually the reason it's doing this because there's a texture applied to it. So I believe, can we change the texture? No. Because there's a texture applied to it. It's using the texture as the emitting material. So look, we can change the way it's emitting. Give me 1 second. So if we take the mesh and delete it from the mesh itself, like basically we're gonna unlink it, delete confirmation. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's gonna stop emitting because once it's a child of the mesh, it's emitting, right? So we're gonna try something else. So do this, insert particle shader, and let's assign it to the box. Okay, so now the box doesn't have a texture. Okay, so we can control a little bit more what it looks like. Okay, so because we want, let's say, the particles green to explode on the cut. So by default, again, I'll rename this watermelon. So by default, it's emitting from the vertices, from each corners. Those are the vertices. So we can change this to scale volume, and it's gonna emit. You will see it's actually emitting, but you don't see it because the watermelon is on top. Okay, so we can move the watermelon a little bit just to get a better visual. And we can change the color here, like back to the color. So right now it's additive. Can change it to matte to see a better color. The in color is orange, so let's change it to green. If you select color palette, you have the option to change it. And then, okay. And then the out color, we can choose green as well, something like that. Okay. Fade in, fade out, I think it matters because we change it to matte. So we can keep it the same. And then if we go in particles, this is where most of the work will happen. So quantity, you have how many particles. So if you try to increase that, it will add more particles. The size, of each particle emitting, you can increase that. The delta is the difference between each one. So this, the smaller the value, the more difference. So if you go bigger size, quantity, we don't need that much, right? We just need like an explosion of the particles. Lifetime, you can increase it, so it's gonna go on forever. So we only want it a short amount. Delta again is the difference of the lifetime. So if you want, you can change that to create more difference in the lifetime of each particle. Lifetime is how much is staying on screen. Emit radius, this one is at 0, so that's why everything is on spot. So if you expand that, it will just create bigger, a bigger radius. Okay. I'll switch back to additive to see. Okay, so additive could create a glow kind of effect. I don't think the lighting is gonna make a difference. So we can try to change the out color. Yeah, that's not good. So okay, we'll keep it to matte and work with that for now. So speed. So this is the first section. So the size and the quantity and the delta of each size and quantity and the lifetime of each particle. Okay, how much is staying on screen? See here, you can increase it and it's gonna go a little bit higher. Whoops. So physics. So here you can control the speed, the direction. Right now it's going up because it's going in the Y. See here, the world axis? It's going up on the Y. If you want it to go negative, you want it to go down, you can go -5. So it's going to start going down, see? Or bigger, -22. So it's going to go below the ground. See? If you want to change the speed, if you want it to burst out, just increase that. Boom. Right? See? So it's going to go down faster. We don't want it to go down too fast. So we'll change that to back to, let's say 5. So, oops, +5. Maybe it's a little too much. We'll keep it at 2 and decrease the lifetime. So experiment with it. You can actually change the lifetime of the speed as well. Also, if you want it to explode, add the X and Y. So let's go with 10 on each side. So X and Z. X and Z is the 2D plane. So we can try going this way. The spread is again like the radius. If you right now it's pretty conservative. If you go bigger, it will explode further out. Right? So imagine it's going up. You can increase the up a little bit. Let's try faster. Now it's starting to look like an explosion. Can go even faster. We can change the size. See, it's a particle is a lot of fun, so you can experiment with this as much as you want. We can decrease the size, obviously. Chunks of watermelon going out. Quantity, if you think it's too much, we can decrease it as well. And delta is where the different size of it. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay, so I mean, you guys have more time than me. If you want to have fun with it and experiment with it further, by all means. You can experiment with the colors as it's going out, as it's kind of the particle dying, it changes color. So you can add another one for red for the pulp, the watermelon. Different stuff. Acceleration, so here how fast, right now you can see like the particles are pretty, the speed of it, acceleration of each particle is kind of linear, so you can play around with this. So you can get a different, each one will travel at a different rate. Delta, you can increase that too, so it could explode further. Direction, I've never tried this. Let's see if we try to match. Yeah, it doesn't change a lot. You can try to increase the spread. Anyways, play around with it. The last thing I want to show you is I'm going to save. The last thing I want to show you is how do you turn off the particle, because right now it's playing infinite. Okay, so any one of these values, it has a k beside it, so that means it's keyable. Okay, so what do? We animate either animate the size. It's going to be a lot better. So we want it to start on, go frame, we want it to start at 156. Okay, so what do? We select the size, we just select it, and then we key, and we go back one frame, and we put that to 0. So let's see what that looks like. We just want to play it from here, so we can squeeze in our time segment and see what that looks like. There you go. And then at the end, if you want it to disappear, you just squeeze it back down to 0. And here you can play with the setting. You can animate any one of these. So let's say it's not big enough. You can actually delay this a little bit to start the emitter early. Right, so that you can add more. You can keyframe the size if you want, or increase the delta. Right? Boom, something like that. And the last thing is I would like to move back the watermelon. And why is there keys on it? Oh, did I? This is strange. Why is there keys on my null? Okay, this is a refresh. Okay, so there's no actual keys. On the watermelon, I think it's just a refresh. Okay, so they went away. For some reason, when I selected the null, if you see keys on the watermelon and you haven't keyed it, it's a refresh bug. Maybe just go on the F curves and double check. Probably a motion builder bug. Okay, so 156, right? So we want the watermelon to disappear. So maybe key here and then key here, where you just translate it underneath the ground and you hide it, right? Simple. Let's see what it looks like again. There we go. So if you think the height could be a little bit higher, I wouldn't assign it to the cube. I would have another cube, because then you can play with the height. Okay, so imagine this cube was a little bit higher. See, it's gonna change the emitter location. See, so I should have done it on another prop, another box, because it is a little bit low. So it's okay, fine. It's fine for this one. But for the future, if you want to control the location of the particle, just assign it to a small cube, and you should be fine. Good. So that's it. So set up the katana or the prop and use the multi-ref constraint to attach it to one body part and then another body part. And just add a simple particle system for the scene you're creating. Again, use the same, and please render. You can render this assignment. You don't need to upload the FBX. Either or, doesn't matter. Try to render. You need to start practicing rendering. If the render creates a problem for you, you can upload the FBX. Okay, I'll update the model. If you guys remember, the render is from here. So render, you don't need to put a camera, but if you have time, you could. MPEG 4. Where do we have a render folder? I think we do. No, we don't. You can put it in animation, doesn't matter. Week 9. Props. In here, I haven't showed you guys, you can change these settings, right? So if you're having trouble, you can just render 184. Motion builder from camera. It's okay, you can keep it like this. Models only, and let's render. Wow, 30 frames. Let's choose high, it's okay. It will be a little bit faster. It's done. It's fast. Okay, let's open it up. Oh no. Why is it playing before? It shouldn't be playing before. Okay, let's try to fix this super quick. Particle. Oh, there might be a key in the beginning. No. It says 0. Wow. Very strange. Okay, I'll have to investigate this. It's okay if you get particles in the beginning. I don't know why, because the particles are 0. There's something in the... Maybe because of the time segment, because it wasn't from... Right, because it was like this. So maybe it was rendering something weird. Let's try this. One small fix. So from 0 to 184, step time 1, because you want to render it at each frame. And hit it. Overwrite. And forget to check in the viewport. Okay, in the viewport, that's fine. Hopefully that's fixed. It didn't render. Oh, it's fixed. Okay. It's a weird angle. It's probably when I minimized it. Okay, so just make sure your time segment is correct from 0 to 184, and I think the particles will show up fine. Okay, all right, guys, have fun. I'll see you Wednesday.